But
like
this is
teenage
different.
girls, like way into it.
Give me a
And then remember that
sec,
group chat I was telling you about
This
the
is
5 girls that
you
I'm
said
still
been
on,
working
you
with
know?
all the Chromebooks. I'm trying to.
So I got
All
a
you do
whole
is do your
super long
email
thing yesterday
and
all
then
about their
password
stuff,
and
you know how she just released the 1989.
Right.
So this one girl, some of the other girls don't even like their stuff. Like, what are you talking about? So she gave a whole like super long explanation. Like that's what you kids write. Like she literally probably wrote an essay. It means like one line
It is
text
growing, yeah.
about the whole
I just-
1989 thing.
I'm at 30 weeks.
No, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Well, no, think I'm on.
Can you hear us?
You're probably talking about the big S.
Hello?
Huge group.
Hi,
Oh,
hi,
maybe.
The one
Isabel.
that I'm on.
Oh, yes, you can hear me now?
Yes.
But she was talking about teacher and they were talking.
Can you hear
I'm
us?
sure the big thing. She's on the bigger one.
No?
It's a bigger, like.
We hear you.
Oh, yes, you can hear me. Good.
She answered well.
Yeah, I know. Can you hear me?
I
No.
learned about it last year.
Okay.
It's like
That was fun.
No, is this
like
Lisa?
100 kids of SMS. So I actually let Stephanie know. I said, Stephanie,
Oh, I can see you now. Okay, yes.
Can
Perfect.
you hear
this
us?
mom who's on it has said there's nothing big.
Can you hear me?
I just want you to be
Yes.
aware
Oh,
that this
perfect.
exists.
Okay.
So if there is a problem, you know it exists. So
That
that's
sounds like a
probably,
problem already, yeah.
Okay.
so that's probably the chat.
Are these new again?
Maybe.
Either.
Yeah. you
Okay,
should.
okay.
But they were.
But if their parents are on, there's parents on that, it's free right here.
Well, my internet's.
They're
working,
talking math
so-
teachers today.
Oh my God.
I'm not gonna-
She's more recent than me. She's gotta be, she's gotta be spread around.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
you
pull
know,
that
I'm
full screen, I
on my
usually pull.
Zoom, anytime I start my Zoom, it says,
Oh,
That's a gift from Michelle.
welcome back and
Oh,
here's
okay.
updates.
Thank you,
And I'm
Michelle.
like, well, I already
You don't
did
have to
this
keep
like
any of
3
this stuff,
times, it's
right?
just like they hit a done.
Just want to throw it out. At this time.
Oh,
Here's my case schedule.
oh, here we go.
What is the?
I think-
Oh, drama, that's not-
I think, yeah, she had it last year too.
I just
I
started
think
typing.
Jacob
something.
had.
Yeah, that's
but I can't remember.
I was like,
if she
I
did
know.
that just for you, or she
Yes,
just-
I know this.
He's got.
Should just be able to enter your email and then your password, you should.
Yeah, this worked for me. Yesterday it was not
So
working for
aren't
me,
most
but
of
this
these
is fine.
Most
Actually,
of
they're
them
mostly-
watch and Alexa watchers, that's who.
They're actually all good.
All right.
I mean, all the science ones. Like,
Isabel,
if
how are you
last year,
doing?
the case last year.
Maybe she can.
Good. Middle of the night here.
It's 3 a.m. there.
Tomorrow we travel from Madrid to London.
Wow, so cool. I feel like I should be looking at it this way, but you're over there.
She said tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh, he's been there. a long time.
Okay,
No, that's what I was saying. No, he's not. That's not bad.
I recognize names in the code, I think Jacob's been Jacob, I mean, it would have been during his school, but. So,
No, she'll be fine.
do you want one as well?
like I know everybody loves my for PE. Reading, oh, it's about. So is Isabel, are you gonna try to leave the meeting?
Yes, I can try.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so it is,
I think we still have 1 more minute.
We haven't met.
okay, 1 more minute.
The globe travels differently.
See,
Is that true?
I've got 16 on my phone.
there it is.
I think we're good now, Isabel.
Okay, so it is PM in California time right now, so it's time to open the meeting. I see that everybody, well, is Elaine there? Yeah, I think everybody's there at the meeting, so we have full board today. Okay, this meeting is available in English and Spanish. Will the translator please give instructions on the translating services available?
Absolutely. Buenas noches. Se utilizará la función de interpretación de Zoom para soporte en inglés y español. Todos los participantes de esta llamada deben seleccionar su idioma de preferencia haciendo clic en el idioma correspondiente cuando el anfitrión active la función de interpretación. Dicha función se encuentra en el panel de herramientas en el icono del globo terráqueo. El modo de interpretación para esta reunión será el simultáneo. Gracias por su atención y colaboración. Good evening. The Zoom interpretation feature will be used in this Zoom meeting for English and Spanish support. All participants on this call must select their language of preference by clicking the language when the host turns on the interpretation feature. This is found in the world icon located on your feature panel. Interpretation for this meeting will be conducted simultaneously. Thank you for your attention and collaboration.
Perfect. Please know that a recording is being made at the direction of the board and that the recording may capture sounds of those attending the meeting. So you may mute when you are not, you don't want to speak. I see that all board members are present again, so we can begin. And with that, we're gonna have a flag salute. So please, all in person, raise and look at the flag. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now will read a brief acknowledgement of land and life. Sunnyvale School District is located on the ancestral and unceded land of the Mukwima Oglon tribe, who have faithfully honored and cared for this land for thousands of years. We recognize that every member of the Sunnyvale community continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land. We acknowledge our responsibility to learn from the wisdom of the Oglon people and to consider how we might work to repair injustices and to move forward together in honorable ways. Now, we are moving to the second point of our agenda, which is the approval of the agenda, and it is recommended from the board that we approve tonight's agenda so we can continue. If there is any member of the public who would like to speak on this item, which is only the approval of the agenda, please use your raise hand feature online or raise your hand on the board room right now. Is anyone?
There's no one in person.
Okay, and no one online. Well, with that, board, do we have any votes or?
I move approval of tonight's agenda as listed.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Okay, anyone everybody who is pro approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, the agenda passed and is approved for tonight. So now we can move to item 3, which is moving to closed session. And before we move, we have some time allocated to people who wish to speak about the items of tonight in closed session, which will be an employee evaluation. And if anyone wants to speak on this item, please raise your hand right now.
There's no one in person.
Okay, perfect. With no one, then we move to item 3. Well, we close the public comment time for this particular item, and we'll be back before 7 for open meeting and continue on item 4. So now we're gonna close this one and move to closed session for maybe about an hour. Thank you.
Thanks, Isabel. See you in there.
See you.
Can you bring laptops or are you calling? Are we bringing the laptops or are we calling you?
They'll still zoom in, but you don't know.
Maybe we can.
Have a good time without us.
Don't have too much fun without
Yeah, you just have to say that the other way. You're
Do you
right.
have your other food, Eileen, or no?
I'll come back.
Okay.
Also, I don't have a fork, so I'll have to.
Do you have more?
Yeah, I didn't this off, but I'll cover it.
There's an extra fork right here, it looks like.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I have a fork.
Do Do you want it right now? Wait, just that extra fork, I'm assuming that's an extra fork right there. Do you wanna just go put it by Irene's stuff?
Sure.
Or is it that white bag over there?
I don't know, but sure, I'll put it there. Not sure.
It looks like Mike's using the other one.
Yes, he is.
We're just plugged into the acting.
Instagram with orange. No.
No, I don't know.
We're starting now or?
I think we're ready, Isabel, if you want to start us.
Okay. Okay, so we are all back from closed session and the next item will be to talk about what we did. No decisions were made. Talk about principal superintendent year goal. And now we can move to item 6, comments from the boards and superintendents, and we can go down the line. Please share your comments and anything you wish to share at this moment. Let's start with Nancy.
Well, I hope everybody has been enjoying some rest and relaxation during the summer. I certainly have enjoyed being here in Sunnydale. I wanted to.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, my work, yeah.
You might need to put it underneath here. You can just take it off too, if it's easier.
Okay. I just wanted to let everyone enjoy the last few moments of summer and hope that the summer memories were very exciting, filled with activities. I would also let the board know that I'm going to be traveling next week, and so I will be doing our next board meeting remotely. Wishing everybody a wonderful back to school time. Thank you.
Okay, so this summer has been pretty busy for me, just personally with family, but I have done a few activities that are school related. Was able to go on several summer school visits at Lakewood, CMS, and Bishop. And at Lakewood, one of the things I noticed, they were all great. It was fantastic to see all the teaching and learning going on at every site. At Lakewood, the coaches who were recording their lessons and experimenting and creating a lab-like environment to improve instructional practice for the school year was really cool. And at CMS, one of the things I noticed was that was pointed out to us all as well, was that there were a lot of multilingual Stanford students there. So it was just a really diverse group with multiple languages accessing our students. And also a former classmate of my son's was there in the teacher credential, or the new teacher program, so that was fun. Sorry to say hi to Teresa. And at Bishop, where it was our, in special education at Bishop, one of the SMS teachers, I think Jimmy Schwa, she invited some of her SMS students to come and participate as an elective to sort of have a buddy classroom experience with them. And they were leading activities and co-teaching and participating and just creating like a really positive, inclusive environment. So that was super interesting and cool. I had a couple of asks for the upcoming governance team meeting. I was hoping we could discuss some ad hoc committees there and just to throw out a couple of ideas for the group. If we were looking at the handbook, I would suggest that might be an ad hoc committee, like when I came on or when Isabel came on, it was the newbie +1, so that would make it Eileen +1. I don't know if she's up for that, but that would be my thought. And then Isabel and I had met last year. We keep getting approached by people who are interested in public art at our campuses. I know Mike's been approached too, but I think it might take a little ad hoc committee for us to get any traction on it, if we have an interest on it, and we would have to discuss, how much district time that would take, right? And then another idea that Isabel and I had talked about was maybe looking at policies, just having an ad hoc committee on policies for the school year. Two more quick updates. The homeless children and families at the Sunnyvale shelter, all 20 kids and their families have been removed from the shelter for now into, we think, hotel or motel living. And there's going to be some additional tours to see family emergency housing throughout the county with Supervisor Lee and the Office of Supportive Housing, and I can share those times with you if you're interested in going. Basically, their standard of care varies a lot around the county, and some of the lack of care at some of the facilities can create additional trauma. So there's a group of interested trustees at SCCSBA, and so we're gonna open it up to all the trustees in the county to look at the different shelter options for people who are interested, so I can let you know when that is. And then the last thing is that, just watching some of the high school district meetings and talking to at least one of their trustees, I think that there's an interest in having a meeting that we had asked for last February, with our board and their board, and even though we don't have control over their board calendar, there might be an interest maybe in the spring having a discussion about, mutual issues, whether that's transition into the high school district or, we've talked to some of the families who were at the high school district meeting and then Evan Lowe's meeting, and there's some of our parents and families and kids as well. And it's all the same issues, microaggressions, macroaggressions, low expectations, racist comments from students, differences in achievement levels, feelings of exclusion, physical aggression, insults, name calling, things that all parents worry about, but that community's feeling. So maybe we could get together if there's interest on both boards. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
I spent a lot of time away this summer. We went to Japan, which was really cool because their public transit system is amazing. You can take a train anywhere. I accidentally crossed almost the entire country. You can't do that here. I just got on the wrong train and ended up on the opposite coast. So that was fun, but it was also really highlighted for me the importance and necessity of public transportation and having accessible routes for not just students, but for everyone to get around a city. You can go in Tokyo, we were in Tokyo and we never had to walk much more than 10 minutes to find, a subway station to get to a completely other part of the city. And so on that note, the VTA, after a lot of advocacy from groups in North Sunnyvale, including the Snail Neighborhood Association, the Lakewood Village Neighborhood Association, Sunnyvale for Equity and Education, announced the creation of a few new VTA routes that will be especially for the Lakewood community getting down to Fremont. Not especially for, it's not a school bus, it's not just for them, but it is primarily for the purpose of moving these high school students to the high school on the other side of town, and I think that's fantastic. It's one of the things we've been asking for, and I'm just really excited that that's gonna be a thing with the new year. They're also going to be simplifying bus passes for those students. They get it automatically now instead of having to apply for it every month, and then the process has been simplified a lot so that everyone from a few zip codes gets the pass regardless of SES status, which was a barrier for students and parents in previous years. And I believe that this has been a thing in the past previously, a few years ago, but because of disrepair or something, it just fell away and it wasn't a thing anymore. And I just hope that these things that we fix, we are able to stay on top of, not just this bus thing, but if we fix something, I hope that it's something we as a board, as a community, as a district, is something that we can keep up the maintenance of and not just forget about it because we fixed it, but be aware that this is something that we should work on and maintain as we move towards equity. Last night, I caught the tail end of Evan Lowe's I guess it was a town hall. It was really informative, hearing what the state's up to, what the community wants from the state and their state elected officials. I learned about a Safe Routes to School grant that the state gave to the city that will be focused on the Lakewood Elementary School area. That is a $1.75 million earmark that's going to be mostly devoted to fixing the sidewalks and carve-outs and hopefully fixing some of the traffic issues in that neighborhood. Cars go by very fast and sometimes people make some interesting U-turn decisions during drop-off. And so that's very exciting as well. And I think that's all I have.
I don't have a whole lot. Summer's always a nice time to spend time with my kids and have fun. But I also was able to tour summer schools, and I know a lot of people have put in a lot of work to make that happen, quick after school starts. That was great. And then also wanted to mention management retreat. It was fantastic, and not really the best part, but facetiously the best part was watching Mike dance.
No one have to talk about that.
But actually, the most fun part was watching Tasha lead the dancing. She was fantastic. But besides that funny piece, it really was a great, energizing. It really did motivate us to kind of the let's go theme. So it was great. I just want to thank all of you for that.
Well, thank you. You want to go first? Okay. Yeah, I've been having also a busy summer, starting with drafting. Well, yeah, right before the last meeting, leading scouts and the whole scout troop in different activities for long trips. But in the meantime, we also had, I had Trustee Watson, as she mentioned before, a bunch of meetings with community members and with Supervisor Otoli, referring to our homeless children and students in our district, and trying to find solutions. And we have also been, I went to the schools tour with looking at our summer schools. And yeah, there's so many great things in the program. Also in Colombia, in middle school, was we had a lot of bilingual classes we saw, and we saw a lot of equity inside the classrooms. A lot of new teachers from Stanford, and it was a very interesting experience. Also, it was great to see the kids from Bishop that they allocated there, the special education kids, was a great program and a great summer program. So that was something to look forward to the report next in the next meeting, to see how general and learn more about the everyday other than what we saw in the tour and we were reported that day. I'm right now on the middle of my family vacation, and I'm abroad, but well, because of that, I've been missing a lot of the meetings that are happening this week and will be happening next week. But I'll be back on the 19th in the evening. One of the things I'm going to be missing that I hope, I know that Aileen is going to go and cover will be the initial meeting for the SCF. But I've been reading and in contact, so hopefully it won't be a big deal. And yeah, looking forward to see you all guys. So next week, see you then.
Okay, now my turn. So first of all, I'll say my family, who knows me better than you know me pretty well, they know not to encourage me in terms of either singing or dancing. So be careful what you ask for. In all seriousness, First of all, it's really exciting to see teachers and staff returning to campuses, getting things ready. If anyone is under the misapprehension that teachers have 3 months off in the summer, they don't. They're clearly working really, really hard now, getting ready for their classes, and it's clear that they work throughout the summer on that, deepening their knowledge, deepening their practice, and getting ready for their students. And also, of course, enjoying time off, well-deserved time off, because the school year is intense, and it is because our teachers care about their students. So it's good to have them back. A couple highlights from this past couple weeks. Brant and I were interviewed by KGO TV yesterday, and also by the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Committee. You may recall that our school district, due to the hard work of Brant and his team, and we found out about it from a member of our community bond oversight committee, Doug Coons. We received a $500,000 grant to install energy efficient heat pump systems in the classrooms at Vargas School. So that's why they were out. Silicon Valley Clean Energy was very excited to be working with the school district. They wanted to promote it. The mayor was there. He's on their committee. And I think apart from the fact that this project is consistent with our community's interest in creating greener schools, which is something that I know that the school board strongly supports, this also is a testament. The reason they selected us is because we had a well-defined facilities master plan. We had projects lined up that were ready to go, and we had a vision. And so that awarded us $500,000 more that we can reinvest in our schools to contribute to our bond program. So I say that all as we are in the last year, hopefully at Ellis, and starting to gear up for Sunnyvale Middle School. And as we're starting to explore another bond campaign, I think it's really important that our community knows what wise stewards of their dollars that we are, how we partner with community entities, and how we're not only creating environments that are safe and modern, but that also are energy efficient, and we're doing it with efficient use of their dollars. So I was really excited to be able to tell that story. And actually, Brant told it a lot better than I did. They were very excited to see. And I hope, next time you're over at Vargas, actually, we have a lot of these systems at a lot of our schools, but the systems that we installed at Vargas are particularly well-designed. And I think the teachers and students will appreciate it. And the back to school assembly is Monday. Excited. I know some of you will be there, and that's great. 8 o'clock is when breakfast starts, and then the event starts at 9 o'clock. And that's it.
Good. Then with that, we move to the next item, comments from the Sunnyvale Education Association. Is there an official representative online? Please use your raise hand if you wish to talk.
No one there?
Okay. With that, we not seeing any. Okay. Not seeing any, then we move to item 8, is comment from the California School Employees Association. If there is an official representative online, please use the raise hand. If you wish to speak now.
No one? No one.
Okay. Not seeing any, then thank you. And then we move to item 9, comments from the public. This is the time to do comments about things that are not specifically in any item of the agenda. So please take this opportunity, any member of the public, to direct to the governing board on any item of interest. However, provision of the Brown Act government preclude any action being taken on any item that is not appearing on the posted agenda. Please raise your hand, your electronic hand, if you are there and online. Do we have any comments?
There's no one in person.
No. There's
And no one online.
They're all gonna watch it later on YouTube. They're not.
Okay. Then not seeing any. Do we we wait 1 minute?
No.
Maybe?
No.
Okay, then let's move to the next item, and we're already in item 10, which is review and discussion, and the item 10A will be board policy 5145.6, parent guardian notifications. Tasha, I think it's on?
Good evening. Is it on?
No,
Yes.
so maybe. She was here.
Okay. Good evening, board. Coming to you with an update to our policy 5145.6. Typically this time of the year, we have our annual notifications, which is a part of how we keep our community, in particular families and students, around things that are new and different. So this comes with an attachment with some pretty long list of items. For the most part, most of these annual notifications happen as a part of our student handbook update annually, but then sometimes we send targeted information out, such as our LCAP and other types of documents. In particular, in these annual updates, it's kind of making it very explicit that if we have families or students who have more specialized needs with regards to needing large print or Braille, or other ways by which to access that information, that we figure out a way to put that in the format that is most suitable to them in order to be able to get the annual updates and notifications. And so coming to you with recommendations to provide any additional feedback that you may have and to approve this particular update and policy for 5145.6.
Okay, and this is discussion, so now is the time for public to comment on this item. Please use the raise hand feature online if you'd like to comment on 10A.
There's none present.
Seeing none. Or do you have any discussion or item that you wanna speak, about this item?
I'm good with it going on consent.
Yeah, bring it back on consent, please.
I have a comment, which is that I'm not sure this needs to be explicitly spelled out, but for my husband who's visually impaired, just making sure that things are accessible with a screen reader would be the most helpful for him. There are options on here for the visually impaired. There's the Braille and the large font and the audio recordings, and I think those are all great ideas, but I don't know if this needs to be explicitly called out, but that is the thing that he finds the most helpful.
For this, it's our way by which to get information to them. So the screen reader would be something they would actually have to have at home in order to access versus us actually providing. But if they actually came to the school site and that was something that they needed, we could provide it on site.
I mean, just the format, because some formats aren't readable by screen reader, like emails generally are, some PDFs are and some aren't. Like if you just scan something in as a PDF, that's not accessible, but if it's something like this that you can like interact with the text, that is accessible. And so just as an accessibility note, that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, we typically use Word or some basic docs so that it can be expanded as far as the fonts go, as large as someone wants it, or as you say, with some of the scanning accessible equipment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'll make that addition.
Yeah, and I can add in the importance of this. I don't really know if there's anything else that can be done, but my husband is hard of hearing, and that had always been an issue for him in being part of the school activities, but up to a point. So it's important that there are options of written communications as possible, and very important.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving then to is there any comment about 9A? No, sorry. Yeah, 9A.
We're on 10B.
10B, sorry. So now if there is not, then we can move to the next one if there are no more comments from the board. Oh, 10B, there you go. Now this is review and discuss of policy 6159.2, non-public, non-sectarian school and agency services for special education, 21.
Yes, so coming for input and adoption of board policy 6159.2. While this is an update to the formal policy, this process has been in place probably for the last 10 years for us as it relates to seclusion and restraint. But it's just making it very explicit that any non-public agency or school that we utilize to be sure that they are following the practices that we follow as a school district to ensure that our students are safe and that their rights and health and safety are being protected in accordance with public education. And so coming for you for any final discussion or input as you have around this particular policy.
Board, any comment or discussion?
You do public comment first?
Oh yeah, let's do one by one. Now is the time for public comment on this item. That will be 10B. If you have any comment or questions about it, please raise your electronic now.
There's none.
Okay, not seeing any. Then we move to the board. Board, any comments or questions with this item?
I'm good with it going on consent.
Me too.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we move to 10C, review and discuss of board bylaw 9322, agenda meeting materials.
Thank you. So this board bylaw update essentially has a number of legal updates regarding our board agendas and meeting materials. Some of them involve making the materials more, providing accommodations to board meetings for individuals with disabilities, and a number of other updates in compliance with the law.
Good. So now it's time for public comment on this particular item. Please raise your hand, picture online if you have any comments.
There's none.
Okay, not seeing any. Then we move forward. Board, any comment or questions regarding this item?
Yes, I have a comment because some of it relates to communications with board members about things to be placed on the agenda. I'd like for us to talk about that at our next board development meeting. That could possibly be something that we needed to add in a more formal way to our governance handbook to make sure that we all understand and have procedures to direct public about how to do that.
Direct the public how to add things to the agenda, or is that what you're saying?
Yes, because everything needs to be placed in writing.
I don't think that,
No, that's not.
that wouldn't be a spot, if it's about, that's what this is, right? For the public to know, our governance handbook is for us, not for the public necessarily.
No, what I'm saying is that I'd like to talk about that, and we don't currently have anything in the governance handbook about if the public asks something to be on the agenda, what is our practice? Because there isn't, this is a bylaw, so there's no AR or anything along those lines. So I just wanted to talk about it at the next meeting.
You're saying if a member of the public were to come to you and say, I want this on the agenda.
Or to the podium.
Or to the podium. How do we defer this? Just to codify practice.
Even though it's here, you want us to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the governance.
At the governance meeting.
To
Just
maybe
to-
put it in the
just
handbook.
Just
That's what
add
she's
in
saying, to
something.
put update the handbook. So
Got
is
it.
that-
Okay.
Okay,
That's all.
okay. Does that sound okay to you, Isabel?
Sorry, what?
Does that sound okay to you? Did you hear what she said?
No, it sounds very muffled to me, and also I think to the translators. I cannot really understand much of what Nancy's saying.
Yeah, I think what Nancy said was that because this is just a bylaw and like it would be helpful at our next governance meeting, in 2 weeks, that we talk about this and maybe put into the governance handbook a note about the practice of what to do if someone comes into our board meeting at the podium and requests that we put, a member of the public requests to put something on our agenda. Because this bylaw talks about what the process is and whether or not it would make it onto an agenda, who decides when that item would be. And she's saying maybe put it in our handbook so that new board members could know, or if everyone on here just could not remember at that moment, someone could look it up and it would be written down somewhere. So she just wants to put it on the discussion for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Right.
Okay, so with that, we move to the next item, review and action.
But we're gonna put this on consent, right? We're not gonna
Yes,
pull
because
that up,
now that you've said that,
right? Okay, so can we put that on consent,
yes.
Isabel? Okay.
Sorry, what?
So we're not, us talking about it at the governance meeting is not gonna stop us from putting it on consent. We can put it on consent and approve it. We're all good with that.
Yes,
Okay. Just check.
yes, we can move with that.
It's not great.
Okay,
Mike and I are just.
Okay, yeah. So-
perfect. So if that's it, maybe we can move to the next one, or there are more questions or comments?
I
Okay.
think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so now we are going to review an action. Approval of school plans for students' achievement, that would be A, 11A. And SPSA, who's gonna present that?
Is that, Tasha, is that you? Or Christina?
Sorry?
This is Christina.
Oh, I was finding out if it's Tasha or Christina.
So that's Christina,
Wonderful.
followed Tasha, and as the
It's a
contact
party.
person.
It's a party.
And Paul and Lori.
Yeah, everyone.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, Isabel. So this item is the Simpsons? Yes. Okay. We've been moving fast, how to catch up. So this item is the SIPSAs. The SIPSAs are the site plans for student achievement. Each site principal works on them over the course of the summer, reflecting on where their students were over the course of the year and where they want their students to grow. This is a template for them to work on with their school site councils over the course of the year, as well as their ELAC teams. And over the course of the year, as they begin to implement actions and strategies, they make adjustments. This is a living document that they've written now, and they adjust over the course of the year as things work, as things need adjustments, and things need to be discarded or added.
Okay, so if there is any question, now it's time for the public to comment on this item. So if there is any question or comment about the school plan for student achievement, please raise your hand now.
There's none.
There's none. So with that, then we move for the board. This is the time to talk about this point 11A.
I move approval of the school plans for student achievement for each site.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we're gonna vote straight with no comments?
Oh, no, there was none from the public. I think we're gonna.
Okay.
We're making a motion and then we
We have
discuss it.
we have to.
Make a motion before we get comment. Okay. That's good. So with that, everybody who moves to approve this, oh no, before we vote on it, we can comment and please.
Discuss, yeah.
Any comments or questions?
Okay, I'll go. I'll go. So, I thought this was really readable. I really appreciated the narrative in it. I know it was really long, but I read it and I could tell that they were thinking a lot about their students and what their needs were, and maybe why some things didn't go as smoothly as they hoped. Like there was a lot of explanation about their hopes for the new year. for me, parts of it were the part that was a little hard to understand, I think someone else asked the question, but it was about how many students that some of these things affected. So like, ballpark, how many kids are we talking about? If it's all school, that's one thing, like we can look that number up pretty quickly, but just kind of, how many kids are we talking about for different things? That might be helpful for understanding. And then because not all the numbers were in there, it's kind of hard to understand apples to apples. Like I could see some people like put in like whole school training, and then other people probably were just adding up like the individual things for the programs. So it was, if you want to say like, there's some outliers in expenditure per pupil, but it's hard to know what the per pupil was. So just like this is the board job of like oversight, like do we understand this document, right? But in general, I thought it was really great, and I understood the story, and that was a big help for me. And it all tied really well to the LCAP too. Like you could just see the narrative coming through. Okay, so my question was for the goals. Like, I get it. We've had a talk and it was answered in packet review that 5% achievement improvement is like the target, and we're trying to go past that, but that's like a standard measurable goal like for academic achievement. Where I was surprised was like they were often listed, like after we get the whole picture on how that's going to happen, and it's moving a big ship and there's a lot of work to do because the standard's going up throughout the year, right? But the question for me was, so where there's discrepancies in attendance, right? There was like some were saying, oh, we're gonna have like a 26% improvement for attendance. That's gonna happen because we have a new system. And then for like the panorama survey questions, there was like okay, we're just gonna grow 5% on that one as well. Like, so like for me, like not all the, like it might have been just like, we got to fill out this form. This form is due in 10 minutes and summer vacation's over, and I get that. But like, if you're really just trying to say like, well, how are we really setting our goals and expectations? That was one thought I had on that. So
you want to pause there?
Yeah.
And go, okay.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, with Christina's guidance in particular, so I definitely want to honor that, we tried to take a look at cross span so we have continuity and consistency. So first of all, that's the first effort that was made. And then what we've done a little bit different so we can be more collaborative as a team is with Christina guiding, we are coming in with our expertise in the different areas so we can be a little bit more targeted and focused. So in particular, in the areas that you spoke of, for example, for attendance, so I'm gonna go a little deep just to kind of give you perspective. So 6 of our 10 schools are ATSI, and of those 6 schools, all of them have attendance issues. But in addition to that, if you think about our school as an
ATSI.
I'm sorry. Let me get it. What is it? Targeted supplemental programs and supports. So that's basically schools that were identified by the Department of Education for particular areas as it relates back to our California dashboard. And so 6 of our schools were identified for particular areas, but in those particular areas, attendance was a part of that for those particular schools. In addition to that, as an entire district this year, we were below what we've been in the last 10 years as it relates to attendance. So the goals are higher there because one, we know we have done it and it's never been a problem before. So we realize that there's some new variables, but even with those new variables in talking with principals and looking at the whys behind the attendance, we feel it's still a reasonable expectation that next school year we should be significantly better than where we are. And so those percentages, while they may seem a little bit more drastic than they are in some of the other areas, they seem realistic based upon who is missing and why. And so those percentages were set for that. In addition to that, expectation as it relates back to our LCAP and also to the state, to really set a target of any less than 95% attendance doesn't really make sense from a logistical standpoint of what you're trying to accomplish. So we looked at, for different groups, like to be reasonable, coming up with that percentage, but really overall, our goal is 5% or less attendance reporting for chronic absenteeism. So that's why you see the spans in the attendance and why the variability exists, but it is intentional.
Everything came to 5%, everything was like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna get that to 5%, and
Yes.
you're at 26 and it's gonna go to 5, and you're at 19 and it's
It's
gonna
gonna
go
go
to 5, and
5.
so, like, that's, it just kind of was coming up as a theme.
Yes, absolutely. And then the second part you were asking had to do with the panorama, but I was gonna ask you to kind of clarify a little bit more which portion of that, so I can clarify.
Well, it just seemed kind of sad to me because the goals were things, many of them were talking about feelings, like grit or feelings of belonging, feelings of being culturally responsive at the school, like for students or staff. And I feel like, well, it was just kind of surprising to me that the goal for that was, well, that one we're gonna do 5% on, like just like an academic goal and hopefully, succeed past that. But the attendance one, we're gonna go right to the high expectation, and I guess I've been thinking a lot about expectations, and some of the schools, the numbers in the target groups the percentages were so low that for, I think for middle school English learners in math, it was gonna go from 0 to 5% proficient, and that just seems like a very, very, very low bar, so.
Right.
Anyway, but I was thinking about that, I have some others.
So just to clarify, we concur and get, but it gets difficult to put what the specific needs are in a document that can be coherent and kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But we are looking behind the numbers and we've definitely taken the feedback, and Christina and I and Jonathan, we've actually been talking about what's a different way by which we might be able to do this and make more meaning of it, and maybe even rework how we're doing it in its entirety. But we definitely are doing more intentional conversations around the numbers. And in addition to that, the work that we'll be doing one-to-one with the principals and also with the support of Benson Consulting, our goal is to really come up with some data cycles that allow us to move a little bit more. In addition to that, those numbers were more directed to proficiency levels, but as we've talked as teams, we are definitely looking at more intentionally, we're looking more at our benchmark data, because that's where we can really measure our work and our efforts more so than proficiency. Because some of those students are not going to be at a proficiency level by the end of the year. We just have to be realistic. But can they grow a year and a half, 2 years? Absolutely. And so that's kind of where we're looking at. So if we have a group of students and they are below proficiency, we will be looking at that year and a half or more growth. And if we are doing that, then we're moving in the right direction, even though those students may still not be at a proficiency level. So sometimes it's what the outputs are, how you're measuring, and it is sometimes apples and oranges, but for us, we want to know that what we're doing is actually moving students at least toward the proficiency level at a more rapid rate than an like 1 year growth.
Okay, my last comment, I think, is last comment from my prepared comments was I did notice that a lot of the schools were we're planning on giving extended time. I saw a lot of stuff in there about tutorials, partnering with PTAs for extracurricular activities and STEM and, things like that. And then they weren't able to quite do it last year. Like a lot of it didn't come through. But one school, they put in there that they were just gonna send kids to summer school. I thought, hey, that isn't exactly school year time we're talking about. So don't say your plan for student achievement for this year is to send them to summer school. I'm not sure, that was only one school who did that. I don't know if that's that seems like that's nudging things a little bit. But I do appreciate that people are looking for ways to get extended time. I don't know if there's a way for us to support that at the district level, whether that's money that's already allocated because it was in here, or whether it's, additional resources we should be looking for. But you know, I know you wanna do most of it during the school day, cause that's when you definitely have them. But I did notice like lots of notes in here about looking for extended time.
Yeah, we're doing a variety of things with that. So for example, when you talk about summer, there were some summer things that we did in addition to just our summer. So we actually started this summer, and you'll hear more about some of the summer things in the next report. But then in addition to that, for example, we're gonna have a program that'll start in October, which is another opportunity after school for our TK1. And Christina kind of coordinated that with the city, for example, to get that going. So that'll be at, I think that's at 3 schools. So that'll be an extra there. So we're doing chunking based upon what the sites are saying that they need. Some things they were already doing, can we enhance it in some way? And the big piece that we've been working with Lori on is trying to come up with solutions that are sustainable, because what we don't want to do is do it this year and can't do it the following year. So whatever we're doing, we're trying to figure out, can we do it at least project out 3 to 5 years that we can sustain something, especially if it's working effectively. And so that's kind of how we're doing different programs and seeing what sticks. And if it works really well somewhere else, then maybe we expand it out to 2, 3 or more schools. And then in addition to that, working with the Sunnyvale Education Foundation too, to see how we can also partner on some of the offerings that we're having from school to school. So we have a variety of things we're working on and trying to figure out what is the right fit and then also what's sustainable.
Thank you.
I have a request for, I guess next time, at the end of each of these, was that? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so at the end of each of these was a summary of the funding that they're getting, and it's broken down into federal programs and state and local programs. But especially within the state and local programs, it seems like a lot of each of the schools looked at that very differently, and some schools included PTA funding and the foundation funding and other funding, and some schools didn't. And I hope that in the future, maybe we could standardize that more. It just makes it easier to understand where this money is coming from if they're using their PTA funds for, I guess, peripherals, like more fun stuff or more for this thing. And I would like to have a better understanding of that in the future. Someone in Packet did some division and to see how much was per student, and I totally get that, and it would be a helpful number to see, but it doesn't look like that's something that can be easily ascertained through this in the format it's currently in.
Okay, well, that's good feedback.
But that number also is not actually the amount of money we spend per student, so I don't know how helpful that number is anyway.
Yeah, it's just to give an idea of where funding resources, where they're coming from and how they're being utilized at the site. And some of those are kind of mandatory based upon the Title I funds that they are. So it's kind of a requirement too. So we're trying to make what is a compliant document as meaningful as possible to the teams that have to do it. So they actually help them to guide and lead their campuses. So it does sometimes look a little awkward because of that, but we are trying to make it as meaningful as possible. And also keeping it compliant at the same time, so, but we can definitely look at that and refine it and make some improvements as needed.
Yeah, so for example, on Cherry Chase's, it says district funded, and then it's a large number, almost 300K, but on Lakewoods, it says district funded, and there's a 60K. And I'm I feel like they interpreted that very differently, and I just wanna know how they did that.
Absolutely, we'll definitely follow up and come back with you with a summary on that.
So I had a different area for comment. The document reference to other living documents that we have as far as roadmaps and directions that are guiding instructional practice. And that is the Sunnyvale Vision for Math and Sunnyvale Vision for Literacy. And when this goes out to the site, I would like for the public to be able to know where to access those documents. I don't expect you to necessarily have them in the document, but at least let people know where they can be referenced and looked at. That would be very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
And then my one thing, it kind of actually connects with what you were just saying, Tasha, related to like the document being meaningful. I'm just a little bit curious, are we, cause you know, it's tricky, right? We have so many like documents that we have to just do, right? So some of them are just like, we're just doing it and it's not actually like what we're doing, it's just the compliance piece, right? And then some of them are like the LCAP, right? Like we actually, that's meaningful and we do stuff with it or whatever. And so this one, like what it appears to me is that it was just kind of this compliance, not really what we were using. And it's looking like maybe that we're turning it into, this is what sites are using. So I'm just a little bit curious, like, is this a meaningful document? Is this, it's required by law, but our meaningful stuff is somewhere else? And then like the follow-up is like, depending on what that is, like, if it's a meaningful document, then let's do all this stuff and let's spend all this time that you guys are doing and that board is talking about. But if this is just a checkbox and the meaningful stuff is somewhere else, then I don't want staff spending a lot of time on it. Does this make sense what I'm kind of asking and getting at?
It does. I would
Okay.
say it is a meaningful document because we took the time to make it meaningful. Is it aligned in all areas in its current state? No, I would not say that's necessarily the case, but it is meaningful to the site. You've given us some feedback that we can definitely take a look at. And we're always looking at how can we streamline it? Is there another way when you can streamline it more, still be compliant, but still be meaningful? Because if we have to do it, we need to make it meaningful to our principals and sites as much as possible. But I wouldn't say it's not a document of meaning. It actually is, because they put a lot of time and effort and they were critical in thinking and being guided to do so. So I can say, can we streamline it? We're looking at how we can do that. Can we make some alignments where we need to? We can definitely work to do that. But I would definitely say it's meaningful, and we tried to be sure it was as closely aligned to our LCAP as possible, so we can also stay funding, focused on how we're funding things, how we're doing things, and then hopefully moving us toward the outcomes of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I would just say that like I could really see that I could really see the LCAP in it, and it was like very helpful to have it aligned in that way because it was very familiar, like nothing was really surprising about it, but the narrative around like, yeah, that we're not doing that didn't work, we're trying this is a new thing we've added in, like at all the school sites, there was something in there about homeless and foster youth, that, you know, there's a no wrong door policy, like I saw that over and over, and like that was really reassuring because you could see like, yep, that's where it goes, it belongs there, we're all doing it, you know, it's good. So I mean, I appreciated that, and so.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for all the work you guys did and for putting together this document.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's to Christina's, Dr. Valentine's leadership. She puts a lot of work and time in this and a lot of coaching around it, and it's become more meaningful because of the work she's done. So I definitely want you to know that as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to call for the
We have to.
Isabel, reminder, we need to vote on it, it's review and action.
Yes, okay, everybody's done. We already have, okay, please, everybody, if you move to approve this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we pass this, the motion is passed and we approve the school plan for student achievement for this year. And now we are moving to 11B, approval of the resolution R2326 in the matter of intention to dedicate a public easement to the city of Sunnyvale and calling for a public hearing. And I will imagine that for that, Brad will tell us.
Good evening, board. Good evening, cabinet. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, welcome back to school. Tonight is the first step of a two-step process to dedicate an easement out at Ellis Elementary School. During the construction project, and collaboration with the city, we have to get an offsite permit to perform utility tie-ins. During that process, it was discovered that the current easement or current right-of-way is in the middle of each street, Central and Olive, meaning that technically it would be the school district's responsibility to maintain the roads and the sidewalks out on those properties. So the city, as well as Sunnyvale, believe it's a great idea to adjust the right-of-way to the back of the sidewalks. That is the easement that we are requesting the board approve. This is the notice of intention to dedicate an easement. So we need to approve the resolution. Then on September 7th, we will bring the dedication easement forward to the board for consideration.
Perfect. Board, can we, let's start with public comments. So now is the time for public comments on this particular item 11B. Please raise your hand and your online teacher in Zoom if you would like to comment on this item.
There's none.
Okay, not seeing any. We move to we need a motion to approve this from the board. Do we have any motion for this item?
I move approval of resolution number R23-26, a resolution of intent to convey easement to the city of Sunnyvale.
I will second.
Perfect. With that, board, any comment or questions about this item?
Thank you for the map.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I assume that will be attached the next time it comes back, so the public will be able to see that as well.
Correct.
Perfect. Any more comments or questions? Okay.
I think we're ready to vote.
Okay, perfect. With that, you board, please, if you want to move to approve this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, with that, the motion move and this item is approved. That will be 11B, and now we can move to, thank you, Brand, for
Thank you.
And now we move to 11C, review, discuss, and nominate if necessary as CSBA Director at Large for the African American and American Indian section. And this item, will talk to us about it?
Yes, so this item is, if we choose to nominate someone, we may. CSBA has asked districts to consider nominating directors at large for the categories of African American and or American Indian. So we don't have to, but if we choose to, we can.
Okay, now is the time for public comment on this particular item, 11C. If there is anyone who chooses to talk and ask or comment about it, please raise your hand.
There's none.
Okay, none seen any, please, do I have a motion for this?
So this one's not gonna be a motion first, we're gonna discuss it, and then if we decide we're gonna nominate, then we do a motion. So it's a little trickier.
Okay, board, any discussions or comments about it? Do we have anyone who would like to nominate?
Well, I talked to Chris Norwood from Milpitas because I thought he would be great for this role. You know, he was the CSBA School Board Member of the Year a couple of years ago, and he's just very active and he knows everybody. And I think he'd just be a great advocate and representative. And he's not eligible because he does consulting work now for CSBA, so he's considered an employee. So we're all very disappointed and it's unfortunate, but he's affecting change another way. And yeah, so that was my only thought, and it was shot down before the meeting.
Yeah, I would echo that was a wonderful thought, and I appreciate you follow up with that. I don't have anyone who I feel is yet ready for stepping up. But I see that we have some potential in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like we're not nominating somebody, correct?
I'm curious about the nomenclature of American Indian, if that's the preferred title.
is for CSBA.
Okay, yeah.
That's what they want to do.
Yes, for federal compliance.
Okay.
That's the terminology that is used to recognize people of recognized tribal status.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe, well, this is general, and maybe we can do something technical to help with the muffle of Nancy. I don't think Monica from the translator can also understand much. It sounds very muffled. I don't know, even.
Nancy said that she doesn't know of anybody right now who she would nominate, but that she knows some people in the pipeline coming up that might be ready in a year or two.
Yeah.
But I think what will happen is that people will nominate statewide. There will be people coming up for these roles, and we'll know before the AEC conference who they are, and we can do some homework on them as a board, and then you can give feedback to me and to the other delegates of how you want us to vote in there, and Santa Clara can go in and support people like crazy. That's what we can do. So that's when they'll vote on this. They'll vote on these two positions. Just like they voted in Sylvia Leong for API Director at Large last year. This year, the ones that are up are these two. So that'll be voted on in December. So we don't have to appoint any, or offer anyone up.
Hey Sue, since we're not taking any action, do we need to do anything special for this? Or we're not taking action, we can move on? Okay. I think we're ready.
Okay, so we don't vote on this yet because we don't have anyone to nominate. We can do it if we find somebody later. Okay, so with that, we move to the next item, which will be 12. Consent agenda items. Any items on the consent agenda is up for discussion prior to be approved by the board. If necessary, an item may be removed for separate action. The public may address the board regarding any items in the consent agenda. If there is any member of the public who wishes to talk about this particular item, item 12, the consent agenda items, please use the raise hands now. No, okay, not seeing any item. Not seeing anyone there. Then we have a board. Do we have a motion? You wanna separate any items or a motion to approve as it is?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I will
Okay,
second.
perfect. With that, any discussion or comments about it?
I think we're ready to vote.
Nothing. Let's vote. If you approve to move the consent item as it is, please say aye.
Aye.
With that, we pass. And item will be an information agenda. I don't think we need to present on this.
No.
We have, no?
For 13C, can we discuss?
Okay.
Is that okay? 13C, 13C, the parent guardian notifications?
You can, but there's no action on it.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
So that's the new law regarding firearm storage notification, and it's gonna go into our handbook. I understood that from the packet review comments. And I know that DPS has said that they would offer, if invited, to do trainings for parents and families. And I know that the people at Ellis, the Moms Demand Action people, they also came to Lakewood. And they've offered to be part of those trainings. I'm just wondering if we can, like, would our new person be someone who would be doing that?
We'll take that under consideration.
Okay. Cause I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And that was my only call out, shout out about that.
Perfect. With that, I think we can then forward if there is no other comment or questions. Okay, then we move to item 14, and I think it's a record to go 8:02 for the first
Yeah,
time
we need to
ever.
discuss the time of the next meeting on August 24th. So
Okay.
I asked the board, like, what time do you want to start? So the consultant can start anytime. The one piece of feedback I got from one board member was that they could start, and everyone could speak for themselves, but they could start as early as 5:30 would be preferred. You know, the consultant, like I said, they can start as early as we like. Their thought was, we'll be fresher if we're earlier, but it's up to you, board. I would say either 5 or 5:30.
Can we move, we can't do a daytime meeting that day?
I don't know.
We could, but that would be up to the board.
Do you need daycare? Is that the issue?
Yeah,
Okay,
got out of town.
No, if it's during school day.
Yeah, it's during the school day. Oh, yeah, I mean, but you said they were looking to start like,
Well, she's,
Around noon, right?
no, what
Okay.
Bridget is saying, let's not even do an evening thing, what if we
Okay.
did it
but what
early in
if
the
we
day
did it
during
like
the
at
school
noon,
day?
or we did it, yeah,
is
like,
noon enough time?
I would have to be done by 2:30, we
Yeah.
did it during the day.
how long are we thinking it's
Because you have
going to
to
be?
be-
Like 3.5 hours, something like
Okay.
that.
I'm fine with doing it during the day, that would be preferable.
Yeah, if we start at 10?
So that will be the 20. Okay, and so at what time do you guys propose to put it on the afternoon instead?
No, so it'd have to be during the school day, so from any time between like 8:30 and 2:15 we need to be finished for you, right, or by 2:00 probably.
Is there-
Okay.
Okay, so fun fact, I applied for this job and this is an adult school job at the high school district, and they are still in the process of knowing whether or not they need anybody, because they have to test all their incoming students for their level. And then they have to level all the classes and see where they have gaps.
So you might be busy
So-
during the day.
I might be busy, but I don't know, and if I did, I would be busy until 12 or 12:30.
Well, then that won't.
So it wouldn't be a school day thing, but I have no idea, and
So I
but I
think
should
we're
know by
back
Monday.
to just,
Can
well-
we decide later?
I guess you could give me two choices. I'm just trying to move the decision along.
Yeah,
Right.
so let's have two choices and we can decide it Monday.
Okay, so option one, if we can't do the during the day, is it 5:00, 5:30, or 6?
5:00.
Is that okay, Michelle? Okay, so
Okay.
option one is 5, well, one of the options is 5:00. So if we can do it during the day, what time do you prefer?
If we need 3 hours?
Yep.
Well,
Well, if you're like
Like 10 to 1, 10 to 1 or 10 to 2 would be my preference.
Yeah.
10 to 2. 10 to 2 with lunch in the middle, that's great.
Yeah, 10 to 1 would be great. Actually, I prefer if we can do it during the day, but if we cannot, then let's do it at 5.
Okay, so either 5 to 9 or 10 to 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Isabel, you said 5:00 works for you? If we can-
Well, yes, I think I have in my calendar right now, but I mean, otherwise then we won't go. The 50th anniversary of celebration of the SEC Commission of the Status of Woman.
Oh.
But that's at 9 p.m. apparently. I thought it was at noon. Oh, no, I know now what is coming on my calendar because I'm on a different calendar.
Yeah.
No, that's at noon. So yeah, I would prefer if it's in the evening.
The SCC SBA.
It's 5, yes.
The SCC SBA is.
The Dr. Dewan.
The Dr. Dewan.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So
This is
Isabel,
our-
you're saying you can't do the middle of the day?
Yes, that's why, yeah, it's just that it's showing on my calendar because I'm in a different zone.
Okay, so
It's
5
coming
o'clock.
up in the evening, so
So
it's
sounds-
actually
sounds
better
like-
in the afternoon.
Sounds
5
like it's
o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Isabel, I wanna say that if you're in a different time zone, you should make sure that it's noon in this time zone and not noon in your time zone, because.
She said
Yeah,
it's
yes,
noon.
it is noon in the local time, yes.
Okay, yeah, right, okay, yeah.
Okay, so 5 o'clock. That's the time we'll do the
Can-
meeting.
Can
So
I give a save the date while we're here?
Isabel, 5:00 works for you, correct?
Yes, it does. And then it probably work for Bridget if she has to work in the morning and teach her.
Hey, I'm hungry. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so, to two other quick save the dates, 9/16, so September 16th, this is Saturday. We're having a baby shower for Eileen. And
Hold on, what time? That's the city thing.
9/16.
No, the city thing is 9:23.
Oh, I thought it was the 16th.
I just,
Okay, sorry.
I just checked.
Okay, sorry.
Breakfast, think brunch foods. And then save the date for the October 5th board meeting. At some point, like maybe right before that, we'll have a little celebration send off for Eileen, because that'll be her last board meeting before her maternity / break / new baby. So fun stuff. So save those 2 dates. Okay, that's my only announcements.
It's great.
Perfect. Okay, so with that, I think that if we are trying to have it at 5 p.m., then August 24th as a regular board meeting, and with that, we declare the meeting done. And still 8:08, I think.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.